Yo, Nick, I'm gonna bring some girls over for you.
Please no. I'm good.
I'm gonna bring some girls over for you.
Please no. I'm good. Please no. I'm good.
Alright, so I saw this clip the other day and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Obviously it's funny, but that's not why. Regardless of what you think about Nick's politics, that interaction is pretty interesting. He's in a nightclub, the one place on earth designed for that specific interaction, and his demeanor is basically like, get those things away from me, I'm trying to hang out with the guys. And it's funny, yeah, and I know Nick claims to be deeply religious, and that's probably a part of it. But it's also a perfect summary of where a lot of guys are at right now. And you tell me if I'm wrong, but there seems to be a shift from, the I can't talk to girls phase of incel culture on the internet, and it's entering a I don't even want to phase. And honestly, we need to talk about why like this bridge between men and women is decaying. I mean, let's keep it real at first. For your average Joe right now, dating feels like a second job. Just keep it real. Back in the day, you'd meet someone in your town at a grocery store, a job, through a friend, whatever. And that was pretty much how everybody got it done. Now, you're competing with an infinite scroll of guys from around the world on any of 100 different apps or websites. And it's created like a weird math in modern male brains, And guys are looking at the cost of it, but not just money wise, they're looking at the potential for some humiliating over the top rejection, or to be, the star of some viral creep video on TikTok, and the high expectations that honestly are placed on everybody, including women, by social media. And they're looking at that, cost benefit analysis, the risk to reward, and they're saying the reward isn't worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. And the effort of performing for these strangers isn't worth the payoff, because what am I getting in the end? And that sentiment is spreading like wildfire. It's not just the incel stuff anymore. I mean, this is, regular people. And I know Nick's not a regular person, but he's closer to it than these incels are. And I see it spreading across the general public too, not just on the internet. Before I move on, I don't have a good spot to put these pictures, so I'll leave them here. And look, social media is making this 10 times worse. My For You page is basically a civil war. One video is a girl saying she won't date a guy who makes less than a certain amount.
So if you're making $50,000, don't date. I'm just being for real. You're not ready to date.
Again, I'm with you.
You're not ready to. You're not ready to.
And the very next video is a guy saying women have zero value after age 25.
Me personally, right? So I won't date a girl who's older than 25.
And we all know it. It's all rage bait. But when you consume that every day, you start to believe that's how the real world actually works. We're losing the ability to see each other as people. We see each other as stats or adversaries, and it's created some massive resentment where both sides feel like they're being scammed. And men feel like they're being used for a paycheck. Women feel like men don't actually like them as humans. It's a mess. This is where the male separatism thing I'm sure many of you have seen online comes in. You're seeing guys go monk mode. They're, turning to things like MGTOW, men's right activism. They're pouring all that energy into self-improvement, but it's not to get a girl. They're doing it just to leave the playing field entirely. They think that it's a flex in a weird way. It's like saying, I'm gonna become the best version of myself, but it's just to show you what you're not getting. And there's a lonely side to that, we're social creatures. You can have the best physique and all the materialistic things in the world, but if you're completely shut out, you've completely shut yourself off to half of the population just because of resentment, are you actually winning? Let's look at the actual environment that the Fuentes clip happened. I mean, it was at a nightclub. It used to be you go to a club to lose yourself. You dance and you talk to strangers. Maybe you meet somebody and get a number. It was all spontaneous. Now, in 2026, it's not even a social hub. It's like a production studio. Everybody's standing around with their phones and their flashes on, filming the bottle service just for their Instagram or their Twitter. And, at this point, it just feels like it's gone from social and socializing to just something where people go to document, to say that they were there. And for a lot of guys, the moment you see a girl filming the TikTok or an Instagram story, the vibe is dead. You're not a potential partner, you're just an extra in her content. When the whole scene feels like a performative event, people just don't want to participate. Why pay for a $20 drink just to be background noise in somebody's content? I'd feel bad if I didn't mention the passport bros. You know, this isn't just about guys wanting a vacation, it's about a total decay in the trust of the Western social contract. These guys feel like the deal is broken and they're expected to provide the traditional stability of like the 1950s, but receive none of the traditional respect or loyalty in return. They're moving to places like Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and not just for easier dating, I mean, it's for an entire culture change where they haven't turned gender into a battlefield. And whether you think they're fleeing or they're winning, the fact that thousands of men would rather move across the globe to try to date rather than do it in their own zip code is a massive red flag for where our society is headed. I mean, it's the ultimate opt-out. And since the real world has become so high friction, we're seeing something straight out of like Blade Runner or Black Mirror. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but statistics show that 1 in 3 men, or at least nearly 1 in 3 men, have now chatted with a virtual romantic partner. And why is that? I don't know. But it may be because AI doesn't have icks. It doesn't judge you for your bank account. It doesn't judge you for your height. And while the internet is arguing over toxic masculinity or female standards, these apps are quietly filling the loneliness gap for some people. I mean, think about the guy who's been ghosted a dozen times. A voice that listens, even if it's code, is a powerful drug. And that's danger. I mean, that's a digital band-aid. It stops the bleeding of loneliness, but it makes the rough spots of real human relationships feel even more unbearable for someone who already struggles with it. And we're essentially training ourselves to prefer simulated interactions over the real thing because it's just easier. But let's look at the actual math of 2026. You know, for a long time, the deal for men was simple. You work a decent job to provide stability and you've got a seat at the table. But inflation and the housing crisis, they haven't made life just expensive. I mean, they've made the traditional male role of a single earning household leader, you know, they've made it almost impossible for the average guy. And if you're 25 working 50 hours a week, you probably still need a roommate just to afford an apartment. And how are you supposed to feel like a provider in that case? I mean, you can't even provide for yourself according to the standards of 20 years ago. This creates like a type of economic opt-out in the dating scene. I mean, when the entry fee for a relationship feels like a house and a six-figure salary, but the economy only offers stagnant wages and high rent, how are you supposed to be expected to provide? And a lot of guys are choosing not to work harder. I mean, they're just quitting the game entirely. They'd rather spend that $100 extra from their paycheck on a hobby that feels rewarding, rather than a date that feels like an interview they're destined to just fail. So where does this leave us? If we want to break the resentment, we have to address some hard truths first. Checking out might feel like a win, but loneliness is a slow poison, and no amount of gym gains or money can replace a community that actually knows your name and sees value in you past your surface level characteristics. And for women, if the standards for entry are so high that only the top 5% of men can meet them, don't be surprised when the other 95% stop knocking on the door. Intimacy can't thrive in a marketplace where everyone is treated as disposable. In the end, what's the move, honestly? This is where I'd like you to give me some answers. I mean, the only way out I see is a digital reset. Delete the apps. I mean, they are designed to keep you single because a happy couple isn't a paying customer. Go to third places, you know, like run clubs and jiu-jitsu gyms, a game store or convention, organic socializing, where you actually see someone as a human being before you see their online profile. The resentment ends the moment we stop viewing the opposite sex as a rival faction in a culture war, because the architects of these cultural battles don't have any of our best interests at heart. What do you think? Is the current dating culture permanent, or is there actually a solution? Thanks for watching.